So thanks to everyone who joined us today. We have with us Becky, who's going to talk to us about the TechSheCan charter. She also runs the Women in Tech Network, and super passionate about equal opportunity, and is going to talk to us a bit more about the TechSheCan charter. So take it away.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Alice, and thank you so much for asking me to speak. I really appreciate it. So I'm just going to give you all a bit of background on me, my career, what we do at PwC in terms of the Women in Tech Network, and also the TechSheCan charter. Feel free to ask questions at any time, whether put them in the chat. I'll try and keep an eye on them, or I think there's a raise hand function, or just feel free to jump in because there's not that many of us. I'm more than happy to take questions throughout. So this is me. So yeah, Becky Hartley, the Women in Tech Programme Manager at PwC. I've actually been at PwC for 15 years, which is actually quite scary. Because I'm not going to lie, when I joined PwC, I thought I'd be here a couple of months, but I've been very, very lucky to have some amazing opportunities. So I started out working in the audit department as an admin assistant to the different audit teams. I then moved into events, I really enjoyed doing, so I put on some really high profile client events for the firm. And that led me into an opportunity. We actually set up our own event space, and it was a technology innovation space called Frontier in one of the London offices. And then through that, I then got this Women in Tech Programme Manager role. And the reason that I just mentioned some of these things is because for me, my networking key to getting all my different roles. So one thing that I would massively recommend to everybody is network. It wasn't something that came naturally to me at all. The way I try and view it now is I'm just making new friends rather than seeing it as a business networking, because I sometimes find that a bit cringy. But yeah, use your networks, keep in touch with people. I think it's so important. So outside of what I class as my day job, I'm also a mental health first aider for my wider team. Also, very strangely, so PwC put on an annual pantomime for underprivileged children. So I'm also in charge of running that. And again, the reason that I mention these things is because I think a lot of people see PwC as accountants and auditors, but there's actually so much more that we do at PwC, and one of those fantastic things is Women in Tech Network. So the Women in Tech Network is for the UK firm. We've got, I think the latest count is across the UK firm, we've got 23,000 staff, and out of those, we officially have 3,000 technologists. So that's somebody who does a specific tech job as their main 100% job. We set up the Women in Tech Network a couple of years ago. Like it says, it's for anybody. Well, it says it's for women in tech, but we actually open it out to anybody. So anybody who's passionate about increasing diversity in tech for the firm is welcome to join us. We're looking to actually increase what we do, so it's not just gender diversity, but doing more about different diversity issues, to try and make sure that tech is accessible to all, and that people see tech as a really good career. Which nicely leads me into the TechSheCan charter. So there's a slide here with some on, and I'm more than welcome to share the stats, share the slides or any links afterwards if that would be useful to people. To the TechSheCan charter, it was set up by my director, a lady called Sheridan Ash, who actually on Saturday was awarded an MBE for her services to girls and women in technology, which is an amazing achievement for her and the work that she's done. So she had a very original career into tech. She started out as a model. She was a single mum, really pushed herself. She had or has dyslexia, but she really pushed herself to create a job that she was passionate about and that she could provide for her son. She joined PwC in our tech consulting line of service, and noticed that there weren't many other females at her level, or the females that were there weren't staying in the role. And she wanted to understand a bit more around why there weren't many females in tech roles. So back a couple of 3 years ago now, 2017, she commissioned some research called Time to Close the Gender Gap. And the research interviewed 2,000 A-level and university students, males and females, just to get an idea of what careers they were looking at doing, what subjects they'd been recommended. 50% of the females actually interviewed said that they wanted to choose a career based on something good for the world or the society that they lived in. 78% of both male and females couldn't name a famous female role model working there, which is quite staggering. And then out of the females surveyed, only 16% of those had actually had a career in technology suggested to them by like careers advisors, teachers, or parents, compared to 33% of males, which is still quite low actually if you look at the stats like that. But overall, there isn't that many tech careers that were suggested to females. So this is basically what kickstarted TechSheCan. She wanted to increase opportunities to girls in particular to get into tech careers. And so this is what we say our vision. So our vision is for women to be equal members in creating and developing new tech business products and services that shape our world. And I assume that you all think this is an important issue, but the reason that we think it's so important is obviously a huge portion of society. I think most people will be aware of developers doing things like the Apple Health app, where they didn't take into account females and the menstrual cycle, or different AI products being developed again that were only suitable for men. And then there's the age-old issue of that seatbelts were only created for men because of the way that they sat. They weren't very female friendly. So just with those few examples, you can see that actually if women aren't involved in making some of these decisions, we can't actually contribute to making sure that business is successful. We're actually creating products variety that are suitable for males and females. So this is why we want to encourage girls and boys, but ultimately girls, to study technology subjects and ultimately go into a tech career. So this slide, you can see 3 different pictures. So top left is when the charter was first set up back in 2018 with only 18 organisations, and then bottom right was our 2nd year anniversary back in March of this year. We were lucky enough to be able to get together in person before the pandemic put us into lockdown, so we're very grateful that we were able to all get together and celebrate the achievements of TechSheCan. You can see we've actually had 173 signatories there. So TechSheCan's actually run by PwC. It was founded by PwC. All these organisations commit to working together. So it can be organisations across industry, ranging from really small startup businesses all the way up to global companies. There's no competition between anybody. It's very much all about sharing best practices and ultimately increasing girls studying tech subjects and fingers crossed going into tech careers. And this is what we ask organisations to pledge to when they're joining the charter. So our main area is education, which I'll come on to shortly. We also work with the government around social mobility cold spots. Oh, is that a question?
Hi, Becky. I just wanted to point out that I don't think the slides are changing. The shared one.
What slide are you on? Oh,
Yes, it's still working.
brilliant.
So
Okay,
sorry
bear
about
with
this.
me. That's okay. Like I said earlier, it's always a good learning experience for me as well. It will make sure that I try and remember all my notes. So do you want me to go back a couple of slides just so you can have a quick look at them again?
I think we were able to hear pretty clearly, so I think in the interest of time, it's probably good to continue where you left off.
Yeah, perfectly. So I was talking about the different organisations, and this is what we ask them all to pledge to. So we do education, we work with the government. A big part of what we do is role models. Found younger females want to see somebody that looks like them, sounds like them, is from a similar background to them. We don't want a elderly white male middle class CEO nobody can relate to. So we always use young females at the start of their careers who have either joined an organisation through a graduate route or a non-traditional route into a role as well. We ask all organisations to make sure they're doing as much as they can internally to make sure they're attracting females, they're retaining them as well. So once they've got the females into the company, to actually make sure that they're creating a nice environment and that they're able to advance throughout their career as well. And then another large part is around sharing practice. So like I said earlier, we have organisations from really, really small to global companies. Nobody has the correct answer on everything. So we ask companies to share what they're doing either on their own women in tech networks, or if they're doing a work experience or apprenticeship scheme to encourage females into a tech business. We've actually got a quarterly meeting on Monday, which is where all the organisations come together, talk about what they've been doing, really good networking opportunity. So again, what I said earlier, networking is really, really key. So that's what we ask organisations to do. The next bit I want to talk about is something called TechWeCan, which still is part of the TechSheCan Charter. This is our education piece. And the reason it's called TechWeCan is because we didn't want to pick out girls and take them outside of the classroom. We wanted to create a learning environment for girls and boys so that everybody could learn more about tech, making it very female friendly. And what you can see here is some of our different lessons that we do. So we launched TechWeCan. The idea back then was that we some lesson plans for teachers to be able to deliver in the normal classroom setting. We did all the pre-work for them. We've got different role model videos that I mentioned. We've got links to different websites. And the idea is that the teachers hopefully don't need to create any extra time to deliver these lessons. They can take our lesson plan and deliver it in class. It's aimed at roughly 10 to 13-year-olds. And the reason that we do that is so students can do it before they choose their GCSEs. Or sorry, for those in the GCSEs, I know there's different locations. You can see some of the different subjects here that we do, and it's very much about opening up what a tech career might be. Coding obviously is so important to tech, but we want to make tech more accessible to everybody. So for example, if a child likes going to the theatre to see musicals, for example, our Tech for Entertainment and Arts lesson actually shows them they can do as a tech career in the theatre. So for example, a lighting designer and how they can use a laptop program to program all the different lights for the shows. So it's very much looking at the different areas that a child might be interested in and exploring the different careers within that industry. And all these lessons, you can register for them, have a look at them, and would really love to hear your feedback on them as well. Yeah, so in the interest of time, I'm going to stop there. I know it's not quite the presentation I was planning, but hopefully I've managed to get as much as I can across to you. So I'm just going to exit out of full screen mode. And did anybody have any questions? I can't seem to, let me click out of that. Sorry, I'm just, my So I can. It looks like I'm showing my screen a million times now, and I can't seem to turn it off. If anybody's got any tips on that, otherwise just bear with me. I should.
There's a small square on the top right corner of your video which should say stop sharing.
Thank you. There we go. I'm learning so much today. So sorry, I just saw a message from somebody. Given the COVID-19 pandemic, how do you recommend students network in this environment? That's a really good question. So I would say, could you set up something, what we do is something called coffee roulette. So as a network, we pair people up with different people from different parts of the business. So you could maybe do it with different parts of the university. And it's just like a 10 to 15-minute chat where you learn a bit more about each other. And that can be done over Zoom, over whatever form you might have. That's quite a good way to network. Look for other women in tech communities. I know there's a few on Facebook, so I'd recommend just doing a bit of research. Hopefully that helps as an answer.
Yep, that's super helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Pauline, during COVID, how does the Charter organise events with students in schools? And actually, I've just realised I've missed a massive part of my presentation out, so I'll quickly cover this. So we launched TechSheCan last autumn, and the idea was for the teachers to deliver in schools. Obviously, when we all went into lockdown and parents and carers started homeschooling, we decided to open our lessons so that parents and carers could use the lesson plans. And we were slightly naive, to be honest. I'm not a parent, I don't have children, so I don't understand how hard homeschooling is. We just assumed that you could just sit your child in front of the laptop and they could do the lessons. But we got quite a bit of feedback from parents and carers saying not that easy to homeschool. So we actually did online lessons for them. So every Tuesday we did something called TechSheCan Tuesdays, which was about a half an hour lesson. We went through the different lesson packs. We actually interviewed role models over Zoom. The children could see the different role models. So yeah, it was every Tuesday we did the lessons. They were live, available to watch on demand. We did that for 10 weeks. And then we had a break over the summer holidays. And then we've just relaunched again. We're now doing a new lesson the second Tuesday of every month. So last month it was Tech for Space. And today we've just launched Tech for Sport, which is the lady that we speak to. She's a para-Olympian shot putter, and she talks about the different tech that's been used to help her, and it's fascinating. What age students are you looking at specifically? So we set up the lessons for 10 to 13-year-olds so that they could choose them before they chose their GCSEs. We've actually found through the last 6 months that we've had a lot younger and slightly older children. So we're going to be looking at adapting the lessons to increase the age range, make it more specific for younger and older students as well. How do you decide who is a role model? That's a very good question. So what we do with the role models is we speak to the different companies. So for example, Tech for Energy, we will speak to different energy companies that we've got on the charter and ask them to nominate people that they think might have an interesting background or does a really interesting job. And then we speak to them to find about them. To be honest, we have so many nominations, it's quite hard to pick. We'd love to be able to use them all. And yes, we do have non-female role models, but we try and use more females to make it more relatable to the girls. But yeah, we do have non-female role models as well, but the majority of them are female role models. Hopefully that answers that. How do you make the lessons engaging? So the online lessons, that was again a very steep learning curve for us because we'd never done online lessons before. We adapted the lessons each week, and I'm sure if you looked at the first lesson, well, hopefully you'd seen improvement from the first lesson to ones further down the line. We just took on board feedback from people. We asked people to be very honest with us. It's hard to be engaging online because you're not getting that same reaction as though you're there in person. So we kept them very short, because I don't know about you, but we have to do a lot of video calls and it's tiring and it's very hard to keep the interest on both sides. So we kept them very, very short. We did different videos. We suggested different apps that they could use, and we also set them homework challenges every week so that they could submit their homework to us, and then we did a little feature on the homework each week. I don't have any top tips on how to keep engaging. I would just say keep it short, and take on feedback from people. Like I said earlier, it's always a learning experience, and I think for me today it was don't get flustered when things don't quite go wrong, and try and keep going and keep smiling as well. You've got to keep smiling. That's a very good way of being engaged. Do you want me to keep answering these questions just because I know of time, or are you happy for me to keep going with the questions?
Oh, sure. I think we're all fine staying a little bit over
Yeah.
time. After this is just a lunch break. So
Okay,
go ahead.
I will keep going. Does TechSheCan do events with universities? Not at the moment, actually. As a firm, we have a tech degree apprentice program, and this started a couple of years ago, and that program is students study at university and they come to us for like their summer placements, and then they also come for a year-long placement as well. So it would be like a 3-year degree, a 4-year degree with the placement, and then there's a possibility of getting a job at the end of it. That's the only thing that we do at the moment, but we work really heavily with our student recruitment team, and we're trying to increase our offerings at different universities, colleges, schools. So yeah, if anybody's got any idea of what we could do more of, or what you might like to see, then let me know, because I'd love to hear that. Also, not connected to TechSheCan, I mentioned first mental health first aider, which is part of your job. Do you feel it helps you with TechSheCan? Yeah, so the mental health piece, that was something, or is something that I'm really passionate about. I want to make everybody, especially at the moment, is able to do their job enjoy it, because we work for a long time, and help people and support people to make sure they're as mentally well as they can be and as physically well as they can be. How does it help me with TechSheCan? I suppose it's helped me to listen to people more, not just listen, but take on board more what people are saying. And it's, I don't know about you, but it's quite easy just to say, yep, I'm fine, and leave it at that, or I'm busy, leave it at that. Just kind of delving a bit deeper with people. And I think especially with children now, sorry, my battery seems to, there we go. Just another little glitch. My battery's just about to go, but we're sorted now. Yeah, especially with children as well. I think at the moment it's so hard for everybody, but just be mindful of what everybody's going through. And this might sound really cheesy, but just being nice and kind to everybody. How did I become a mental health first aider? Is it a course people you do, or is it something you're personally passionate about? So PwC, I can't say this enough, it's an amazing company to work for. They give us so many different opportunities, and they started doing mental health first aider training a couple of years ago. I found out about it through a friend because he was doing it. They don't offer it at the moment to everybody, just because it's a very intense course. So they started offering it out to people who did like a HR type job or a people lead type job. I approached the team about it from my role in the pantomime, because I'm responsible for 200 people, so I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything that I could to support their mental health. So it was a bit of a mix, something that I was really passionate about. I was lucky to be given the opportunity because of my role in Panto as well. I now am, we call it health and being champion for my wider team as well. So we've got about 200 people, and there's a few of us that do health and wellbeing for the team. So at the moment, we're trying to see what we can do. Actually, going back to the virtual networking, how can we create a bit more of a sense of community at the moment? But yeah, hopefully that helped. Really good questions, thank you. Anything else that people wanted to ask me before we go? Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Hopefully it was still worthwhile, even though we had a few technical glitches, but hopefully it was useful. I'm more than happy to share the slides. I can download them as a PDF and share them. So just let me know if you want me to share them with somebody who to do that with. And also I'm more than happy for you to share my details with people if people want to have a chat. Like I said, I really welcome any feedback on TechSheCan, TechWeCan, what you might find useful as a network as well. I'd love to work with you further. So yeah, so thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and for pushing through all the technical difficulties.
I'm now
it makes it exciting. It would be too easy otherwise.
It would be, definitely.
it would be suspicious. But yeah. Yes, thank you so much. This is super interesting.
You're
I guess
very welcome.
I think that's it for now. But yeah, we look forward to reaching out to you again later.